listened to a presentation by Haskell Design Build firm, very big firm, been around for a long time in Jacksonville. But it's being sponsored by Sugar Yandao and CB Yandao. And so, Sugar, did you want to start?
Yes, sir.
Come on up and do it.
Good evening, all the board members and our fellow community members. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule and coming here for this special call, Gateway Committee meeting. I want to let you know a little about me and my husband. We both are working on this project. We are small business owners. We are resident of Camden County for last 18 years. We have more than 19 years of experience in retail, hospitality, and management industries. We have a successful track record of buying underperforming businesses and turning it around. We have 6 businesses in Camden County, and half of them are in St. Mary's. We do love St. Mary's. We recently renovated Cumberland Inn and Suites and changed it to Shore Stay Plus by Best Western. We have a team of more than 100 employees, which are our backbone, because without them we cannot function. Some of our employees working with us for last 18 years, and during COVID also, when everything was falling apart, we retained all our employees. So that was the biggest achievement, even though our sales were going down, but our team was with us, so that was a big thing for us. Just wanted to give you a little about how much bed tax we paid to City of St. Mary's. In 18-19 fiscal year, we paid $63,000, 19-20, $63,000, 2021, $77,544. So we paid more than $200,000 in 3 fiscal years, even though we had COVID. So we do have a successful track record being in St. Mary's and paying the taxes to the city. We both are very involved in our community. Since childhood, we always dreamed to come to the land of opportunity. Every day we are so grateful and blessed that we are in this country and especially in this community. A little about CB, who is my better half and who manages all the properties. I do mostly like my financial and bank, sales tax, attorney stuff. He is chair of Kingsland Tourism Board, vice chair of Kingsland Development Authority. He's a board member of Camden County Joint Development Authority. He's also on Georgia Lottery State Board, past member of Georgia Chamber of Commerce. He's also serving on Georgia First Commission, which is a new board formed by Governor Kemp to help small businesses. I do serve on few boards. I'm on St. Mary's CVB board. I'm a chairperson of Salvation Army. I work as a secretary in Georgia Commission of Equal Opportunity, and I also serve as a parent chair, education chair for elementary and middle school at the Bose School where my kids goes to school. CB and I graduated Leadership Georgia class in 2018, and I was the winner of Coralie Fanning Award. With this Gateway project, we want to build a boutique hotel, and same time we want the hotel which represents the city and aesthetics of city. So it's not like another box hotel. We want to bring something to this property which really represents the city of St. Mary's. With this development, we will create more than 50 jobs, and it will be beneficial for city from economic standpoint also. Our vision is to give an excellent hospitality and experience to each and every guest who come to our property and to our town. Our goal is to encourage tourists outside the town to come and enjoy City of St. Mary's and spend money at our beautiful historic town. We partnered with Haskell, who are our design and construction partner. I'll hand it to Mr. Ken and Mr. Allen. Mr. Allen is one of the member of the team who came here 11 years ago for envisioning project of this property. So I'll hand it to them and they will take us through the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to move up here. move around. Already got a good view, that's good. Can everyone hear me, or shall I take my mask off? Everyone hear me? Okay, everyone says I got a big mouth, so that's good. My name's Ken Baser. I've handed a card out. If you missed one, I've got more cards. I'm a division leader and a project director at Haskell. Haskell is a neighboring company here. We do about $1 billion plus in construction a year. We're a design build firm, which basically means we do a lot of the designing of the buildings that we build all in-house. I'm an architect by trade. Alan is one of our chief architects, our chief architect, so he's the big wig. What I want to do is just kind of talk about the project a little bit. Alan's going to, and I are going to kind of just go back and forth and talk about it. If you've got questions at any time, raise your hand or shout out. This is an informal presentation. We welcome any questions, or if you want to wait until the end, we can answer any questions at the end, okay? Thank you very much. So, Sugar had mentioned that Alan is here, and it's interesting because Alan did a study with 2 other people in our firm back in 2011, so 10 years ago, on what to do with this specific piece of property. They did a visioning session, and the outcome of that session was, whatever it is, these 5 key components should be a part of it. Those components are some sort of a public walkway, so access for the public, and environmental enhancement. Whatever we do needs to be a part of the environment or enhance the environment. Historical compatibility. St. Mary's has deep roots in history, and whatever that building is needs to have historical significance and feel like that. It needs to be good for economic development. And the final one, it needs to have a destination feel to it for visitors and local citizens. So what we bring to you is a project that we think addresses all of those. So the site we're talking about, if you're not aware of it, is at the end of St. Mary's Street and the corner of Reddy Street. It's where the new dock is, and the dock is going up. That's more of that's coming out. There's already a public way around it, right here. And the piece of property we're talking about is this piece of property. Originally was this, and the city has acquired this piece of property too. So, does everyone, any questions about the location that we're talking about? Okay. Maybe a couple other things while we're there. It's a little over 2.7 acres. There's a height limitation of about 45 feet. So that's the maximum height the building can be, so no high rises or anything like that. The property line does not go all the way to the water or to the marsh. The city has kept that out of it for that public way component, making sure that there's always public access. Okay, probably just a couple of key things to know about that. So we'll blow up the building a little bit, but this is, the intent of this is a conceptual drawing. We're not going to get into a lot of the details. The idea is to express to you, the community, and the board, what our vision is, what Sugar and City's vision is for this site. And if everything goes forward, there will be a period of due diligence that we will get into all of the details, okay? Does everyone understand that? So, the intent is to bring stuff forward and put parking in the back. And with that, I'm going to let Alan do his magic.
Well, I appreciate being here tonight, and it's wonderful to be back at St. Mary's. I've visited occasionally, but not in this type of forum. So this is nice to be here for this purpose. It's a very exciting project because it presents such a great opportunity for the city and for us and for the owner. I think it's a fantastic thing to develop this parcel, and it's very important on how to do so. As Ken said, looking at the historical context, but also how one uses the site, how it moves through it, how you arrive, how it feels to you. So the concept here is that the parking gets in the additional parcel And you arrive on at the back on the alley, and there's a drop-off point, and we have a lobby that is the arrival point through which you see, and it's on axis with the docks. So there's this very strong concept and connection between the building and what's happening out in the environment, and you know with the docks to the ferry and to go to Cumberland Island. As you approach, so that's one means by which you approach. You drop off or you park and you come in that entrance, and you have this beautiful vista in front of you when you arrive at the hotel. That's one way to come. Another is you're walking across and then you're kind of down St. Mary's Road or street, and then you're arriving at the site that way. The green space that's there kind of draws your eye in, so that there's not a big massive building there. And we purposely kept the more hotel portion, the rooms, to the right of the plan, so that the more public side, the meeting spaces on the ground floor, and you'll see a restaurant on the second floor, are above. So that idea is, it leaves that space feel open, because right now it has a nice quality to it. So by having this as green space out front, it kind of draws you in at that point. There's a courtyard, as you can see there, that's off the lobby, and we can kind of enlarge the plan. But the other thing is that the Riverwalk continues around and connects back, and if possible, it could even continue further to the north. Yeah, do that. Oh. Okay, so this sort of gives us a good feeling for the plan. It's a 3-story hotel with 78 rooms, and it has the pool deck that's facing to the southeast. And then you can see a gift shop, meeting room, and kitchen on the first level there with a kind of a pre-functional hall off the lobby. So that if you're in the hotel, you can come across the lobby to the meeting space. Or if you're coming from somewhere else, you can access and walk in from the meeting space from town or from the lobby if you're coming in from the parking side. So what's important there is, and we studied a lot of options on this. We really like the private side being more contained, so that and off to the east, so that the more public side, as you arrive and come and use the restaurant and the meeting space, really kind of draws you into that area. So this is the second floor plan, and I can kind of, that's the enlargement of it, since you've seen the site. So it's an L-shaped building for the hotel that's 3 stories. The lobby would be a tall space, so it's this really wonderful arrival experience for people. And like I said, that view going through, I think, is kind of critical, so that when you arrive, you realize where you are. If you're on the St. Mary's River, you're on access with this stuff. And then the restaurant bar would be upstairs there. And I think another feature of all this is having opportunities for outdoor seating, because we want it to be this, when you look around town and see all these beautiful arcades, and there's a lot of opportunity to experience it, the environment that way, not just internal to the building. So I think it makes it a lot more active and fun for people who are coming and people who are staying here. Now, in terms of the aesthetics, this is, as Ken said, this is kind of a preliminary idea on it, but I think it shows intent. We really like the idea of it tying in with a lot of the buildings in town. Part of the character are the colonnades on the buildings. If you strip them away, you kind of lose a lot of, I think, the aesthetic and character of the historic context. So the idea here was that you have a 3-story colonnade with balconies in the hotel portion. And like I said, with it being 3 stories, it's kind of pushed away a little bit, so that it really has this feeling of openness as you're coming from the dock, or if you're coming from town. You can see the lobby in the distance. It's kind of a marker, so that when you're out on the dock or in the water, or if you're walking along the riverfront, you sort of see that as an element of importance. And then the two-story on the left there is the meeting space and the restaurant. And so that's the more active area with this nice lawn in front. And I could very much see activities that go on where they utilize the lawn too. Whether it's a big event that has a tent in it, or it's just you're out on the lawn as breakouts, or having some sort of activity out in the space too. So I think the rendering helps show that it's kind of drawing you in that way. And of course, the building will be seen and utilized day and night. So we wanted to, it's not as dark on your screen. It looks really nice on this screen. I don't know if anyone can see that. Technology. But it's also important at night because I think it'll, when appropriate, it'll be kind of an exciting, activities that can happen there at night as well. So a few other things is we wanted to do some kind of, not lots of landscape on the property, but enough to accentuate the building. So you really, the palm trees kind of accentuate this idea of connection between the building and the water. And then you have other landscape that will kind of help define the building and the landscape together so that it kind of creates a nice experience for everybody who's seeing and utilizing the site. That's it. Do you want to talk about historical precedent?
Well, and we had presented, and so if there's any questions you would like to ask, please feel free. We do have some historical other type of buildings if you want to look at those.
Yes, sir.
I have a question. The hotel piece, really can't tell the dimensions on width of that. Okay, that draws out. It appears that all the rooms there have an outside view or balcony. Yeah. There's no inside rooms I could see from that.
Right. And
how wide? What are the dimensions on the width of that? What kind of room, square footage, talking about in that layout?
It'd be a typical double-loaded corridor. Once again, the details. A lot of details should be worked out, but the intent is to show that there should be approximately 78 plus or minus rooms. And Sugar, I'll speak just based off of some of the meetings or discussions we've had. They're talking to several of the chains of hotels, but the intent is it wants to be a boutique. It wants to be, not just any hotel that is along the road. It definitely has to have the feel and look of downtown St. Mary's.
So you guys are the designers, and the chain hotel could still come and stick the name.
Yeah. You can. I mean, a lot of the chain hotels have boutique hotel branding. So, and a lot of them, and that'll be one of the things as they're talking to people. The intent will be is that it will not be their typical looking building, but it may be a Marriott brand or some other brand, just because of that name recognition. But it doesn't mean it's going to look like what you see along the road.
There's no talks there. Are there any interested takers at this point? Are we starting from scratch?
I'll let Sugar fix.
We are talking to a few brands, but again, the main thing we talk to them that who can fulfill this kind of concept. Because as I mentioned that we are not planning to put a box hotel. So we are talking to right now ILG, we are talking to Marriott and Hilton. So we are contacting them and what they have and they can provide us for this area.
One observation that I had that I didn't describe earlier is that, and you made me think of it with your question, is the rooms are oriented such that there are some rooms that have direct views out, but all the rooms have views of the water. And in a lot of cases, in these cases, they're over the pool. In that case, they're kind of to the northeast, and in this case, it's across the yard to the water. But they all have some view of the water, which I think is a real benefit to the hotel. It really will draw people.
And we did look at laying it out, but it just makes so much more sense for it to be on this side so that, at 9:30 or 10 o'clock, if there's a wedding event or something going on, it really does allow a separation of the family activities and the more public activities. And that's another reason why the pool is there, is so that the pool is isolated for the family events. And it's not intended to be something shared with the wedding party that gets drunk and decides to jump in the pool. So there is a lot of thought.
Address
To
the
that.
meeting area.
Let me go back to the first floor.
Yeah.
Oops, wrong direction.
Right, so the meeting area can be potentially accessed from the side, but generally you come from the lobby and come in. A lot of hotels, you have a common lobby and then you distribute from there. So you would come in the lobby and then move across to a pre-function space that also can have a porch, so that you can have breakout either just in the pre-function space, or you can go out to a porch. That's the current idea. And then you have it's a subdividable. That was one of the requests, is that so you could have a large meeting, and that meeting hall is quite a bit larger than this, so you could have a larger meeting, or it can be 3 meetings that could be divided up, or 2, a larger room and a smaller room there as well.
The
So,
both sides are 250.
Yeah, right now, if excuse me for pointing, but, so the meeting room, that's roughly 300 people plus or minus. The intent is these dividers, so you could have 3 meetings of roughly 100, or you could have a meeting of 100 and 200. So there's multiple options. There's a kitchen and prep area here. The intent being that any food services or delivery can be brought in. And this also allows them, if this is an event that wants to be catered, they have their own prep area, or they could utilize the restaurants directly above it and come down an elevator or a stairwell, have a private elevator or stairwell for staff to bring food down.
The restaurant on the second floor would have a porch, I would assume outdoor seating on the back side of it.
Yeah, so the idea there is to maximize, so we're getting these people up off the ground a little bit, so it's really going to capitalize on the views that they're going to have. And in the rendering, you'll see that we've even talked about putting an awning, or maybe it's a movable awning, so it can be covered or uncovered depending on the part of the year or whether it's raining or not.
Can you please discuss how much parking is in the parking lot?
Yeah.
The environmental impact of building on the site, what you've done or what your concepts are to ameliorate water and such, and also the size of the lawn space.
okay, so the current parking there is 78 spaces, which is the same size as the hotel, 78 rooms.
And then we're not counting any of the space parking that is along Ready Street. So if you're familiar with it, there's parking on both sides of Ready Street. Now, there's nothing, we can't stop people from doing it, but 78 spaces, usually for hotels, you're usually 1 per room type of scenario. So,
And then the lawn area is roughly, I'm going to say, about 100 by 200. Well, maybe no. It's going to. Let me see. It's probably 100 by 200 almost.
it's big.
Or
I mean, it's a big
maybe
yard
150. Yeah. It's a nice size space.
And then environmental impacts?
Well, I mean, we would have to meet all environmental issues with the code when we start doing the due diligence. So that's one of the things we will have to do, is we will be doing environmental studies, determine if there's any endangered species. I truly doubt there are any, because it's a mowed lot right now. They will be doing studies for that. We'll have to do a study to find out what the flood zone is and whether or not the building's got to be elevated. But the intent is it's a self-contained area. We're going to have environmentally trying to create a walk path around, so we continue the path around. There should be no environmental impact whatsoever, other than the fact that we're building a building on a.
Well, you're bringing a lot of people there, and then you haven't considered using solar or non-porous?
It's too early at the stage, but I would say that's something that could be looked at. Right now, I mean, it's just a matter of figuring it out. Solar panels, if you put them on a building, it brings the historical look of it way down.
I argue with that.
Okay. That could be debated, but you typically would not put solar panels on that can be visual if you're trying to reach a historical significant looking building. And you could put them on the ground, or depending on the type of roof, if it's a flat roof, you could put them on the roof, but our rendering does not anticipate a flat roof. That is not a typical historic looking building.
Although there is some possibility that you could do a mansard roof.
Yeah.
You know, mansard, which is, right, flat.
No, I don't think that would be.
I mean, we do a lot of solar. I would tell you every building we do, if you're familiar with LEED, we've got 120 plus or minus LEED professionals. I'm one of them, he's one of them. Most of our buildings, I would tell you 95% of our buildings, if you go through the process, would get you a LEED certified building.
Would you tell them what a lead is?
It's leadership and
Energy and
environmental
environmental
design. So it's really just designing a building that keeps your carbon footprint down, keeps your consumption of energy down. You're trying to be environmentally friendly. So all of our light fixtures would be LED lights because they use the least energy. Our mechanical systems would be a very high energy efficient equipment. We would look at even everything to the color of the roof panels and the paint on the roof or the buildings to make sure that everything we do helps the environment. So, everything we do is LEED intent. Not a lot of people go through the process of registering a project for LEED, but that's really, to be honest with you, ingrained in our nature, so I really don't get into a lot of discussions on it. But if that's something if you wanted to look at, we could definitely do a LEED building. It usually adds a premium cost to it, and that would be something that the owner would have to decide on that, of course.
On the visioning session, number 11, odor storage facilities, there's an X by it. In previous meetings with this board, we talked about new docks going in and transient odors. Is there facilities incorporated into this hotel, such as showers and restrooms for those odors, to draw those odors into here?
I will tell you that has been a discussion. It hasn't been determined one way or another. I think the owner has indicated that they would definitely, if that was a majority desire, would definitely entertain that. Basically, the intent being that you could easily have because they're going to have a gift shop anyway, that shop could be expanded into more like an outfitter. Basically, if someone is boating and they need ice or beer or whatever, I don't think there's ever any intent to put fuel in or anything like that here. But it could be a spot, and then if need be, or we actually have had discussions about potentially putting bathrooms here that could have showers. I think that's part of the details we talked about. Those details are to be worked out as the project develops.
And Mr. Ken mentioned, there are so many things like putting a shower. We will try our best to work with the city, and because we will be housing front desk clerk 24/7 over there. So it will make more sense to work something around that. We will have someone to cater those people. And this is a public and private partnership. So here we are looking for a partnership. It's not like that we are the owner and this is my project. We want to come with the sense that this is our project. It represents our community, it will help our community, and same time, yes, we'll make money, but I can say this proudly that whatever we make in this country, we invest back to this county. So we are very vested in this county.
And I can expand on that as a design build firm. We self-perform very little of the work we do. Our goal is always to hire local subs wherever humanly possible. So when it does come time to build this, we will solicit. We have a vendor database of probably every sub in this area. we reach out, we'll actually have community involvement meetings where we'll come here, we'll have, try to get the local subs, electrical, mechanical, roofing, you name it. Our goal is to keep the money here by hiring the local firms and construction companies to do the work.
So the city owns this property now, how does that work? Is it a lease back? Is it gonna be sold?
We're talking about that, it's part of negotiation and part of the discussion. Right now, the city would prefer to lease, long-term lease, 50 years or so, whatever works out in the negotiation, but it's up for grabs. I mean, it might fall to a sell, but our preference is lease. But you never know what's gonna happen in the future, so that piece of property is so valuable to St. Mary's Waterfront that we wanna make sure that whatever is built there remains there, or we have a fallback.
And
In
That'll be negotiation.
your opening comment, you indicated your familiarity, your awareness, your participation in this property years ago. There was obviously, there was a concept diagram or a picture developed. I see three differences. One is the parking area, that new piece of real estate in there. The dimensions are different, the layout is slightly different, but the concept is very similar. And the third difference I see is that it appears that we have a local business owner that has expressed strong interest in this. Keeping those three differences in mind, how do you see this, how do you differentiate this from what we had in the past, and why is this gonna succeed and move forward where the other ones have not, the other plan has not?
I would like to say so. I think what I'm most excited about is that the interest is from someone already in the area, that we don't have to sell on the importance of the project and doing the project, because they're so invested in the community already. That's, I think, what I'm most excited about, is you already know the community. We don't have to sell you on the need or why you should do it or why you want to do it. I mean, that's, I think, really an important part, is that y'all are so invested already in this community with 3 hotels.
Yeah,
You've got to know what you're doing somewhat, or at least you.
You know where to find us, and
I know,
this
that's
is
right.
Camden County is our home.
Right,
That's
I
what
know
we
that.
say wherever we go.
I think they do have a solid track record, and I think actually you own the hotel right down here.
Seagulls and Riverdale.
Yeah, so they've got experience with the downtown event space, so I think you've got a client that is, or an owner that knows their business, they're already in the hotel business, they're here locally. They've been looking at this spot, and as soon as it dropped back out, I got a call from her. This has jumped together in just a matter of weeks, because there is a high level of interest here. And I've never seen that level of interest with a client, so just so you know.
I'd like to jump in there for a minute. This is a concept. It's a good concept, but it's a concept.
Right.
You guys, they've spent 2 or 3 weeks on it. That's what they've done. The next step goes to a design, preliminary design, and a 30, 40, 50, whatever they want to find preliminary design at, which then springs off into costs. You've got to get more details in order to cost it. And you gotta come up with a budget for this thing, and that brings in money. So that brings in negotiations. So there's a long ways to go before we've got a final product. This is this the thing we want to pursue? And we can modify it slightly as we move forward. We don't want any major changes, but they'll put the colors to the rooms and whatever on the next one, not through it.
Yeah, I mean, and the intent is, like I said, because, you know, we'll have to go through your historic, we'll have meetings, I'm assuming we'll put a committee together. There will be other opportunities as this project advances. And like Sugar said, it's really a partnership, you know, and there's certain benefits. You know, if it's a leased property, that's less money they have to spend to buy it, so that allows them, but then they're also stuck with a piece of property they don't own. So they'll do a lot of negotiation on that. I will stay out of that. My ultimate goal is to provide the community and the owner a project that is the best intent for that. And I think we've done a good job of trying to hit those 5 topics of what is the best use of that property.
Yes, I've been through the last decade of all these visioning meetings, and this is just so exciting to me because it's come down to, you know, the size is perfect. I'm very interested in the meeting space. We lose so much tourism dollars because we don't have enough meeting space. And so we've got the meeting space, the restaurant gives something to the locals, I assume it'll be open to the locals. Environmentally, it looks, I mean, aesthetically, it's beautiful, it's got the beautiful low country feel. I just love the whole concept, but the big bonus to me is, as Teddy said, we've got local people who have a track record. They have an absolute passion and love for St. Mary's, and everybody in this room knows how much I love St. Mary's. So it just seems to me if this is ever going to happen, it's going to be, it's going to happen through people who have a passion for St. Mary's. And CD and Sugar, they have that passion, they have the resources, certainly have the experience. I'm just so excited. This is, after 10 years, this is wonderful.
Yeah, and if I might just, can I add one comment to that, which is, it's really nice when an owner comes to the architect and says, I want to do something nice. I mean, it's not just about the, you know, and of course, it all has to come out in the proof is in the pudding, and, you know, it all has to be vetted and everything, as you so rightly said. However, it's good to start on the right track. And so I think, you know, for me, it's exciting because they want to do the right thing, you know, for the property. And I also, to go to the parking comment, having that additional land and having the parking there is hugely different than the other scheme. Because if you have all the parking out on the street, then it's a bit of this between everybody who wants to park out on the street and the people using the hotel. The fact that the hotel has its own parking makes a huge difference. And so I think that is to answer your question, the second big benefit.
Let me point out one other thing that we went through a lot of thought. Forgive me, I don't remember the name of the alley.
Sable
Alley. So we looked at that, and you know, I know we talked about could we evacuate the alley and put the entrance somewhere else, but I think there's a high level of energy with that alley, or potential with that alley. So having it so that, you know, this could very easily be a crossing walk, or you could, I so boldly say, in the future, do a turnaround, block this street off, and really create event space out here if you really get wild and want to do that. Or at least, if the alleyway develops and prospers, this becomes an extension and a destination at the end of the alleyway. So, now there's still things, the columns, there's some historic looking columns here, they're very narrow, we would probably have to rebuild those and move them out. But the intent is there to make this a part of that potential, what the future alleyway could become.
Jim, you talk about concept. This is the exact concept that we talked about 10 years ago.
This
A
man was
boutique
there.
hotel is how it started out. Am I mistaken? This is a beautiful design.
It is.
I really like it. It's exciting.
Yes.
First, I wanted to thank Sugar and the Gateway for being smart enough to bring Haskell in. You're constantly rated by the Jacksonville Business Magazine as the #1 developer architect firm in the whole Jacksonville SMA. And it is the best design I've seen over the years, and I think you've really nailed several of the important points. And I would say all in, except for two things. There's two other projects that I think the committee needs to look at, because this is not an island. This is part of the downtown. This is part of the business community. It's part of the business corridor. And I think we have to look at the needs of the entire area down there as well. The Gateway Marina project, which I think Robbie told me was going to be started later this year.
It should be starting this month.
And I recently met with Oasis Management, with Jim Jacoby at my house a while back, and they told me that they could live with the Gateway Marina because it was a transient marina. But they said transients are different from regular boaters in that the first thing they want are showers, they want bathrooms, they want Wi-Fi, and I've never seen a hotel incorporate these, and the only area you have left there is the grassy area to put all of those. And in a lot of cases, there's also a management office and storage and some other things and I'm wondering, because transient boaters don't stay in hotels. They don't. The second thing that transient boaters want are coffee shops, breakfast nooks, restaurants, ship stores, retail stop, liquor stores and wine stores. The problem in St. Mary's downtown is not that we're not attractive and historical, we don't have any business inventory. The previous Main Street coordinator had 8 or 9 retailers, companies, come to her wanting to locate in downtown, and there's nothing available. And I do think there needs to be strong discussion about whether this is what we need or whether we need more retail inventory. Another question that came up in a previous gateway meeting was hotels are needed because people come to a certain place. We don't really have things that people come to that spend the night. People that go to Cumberland Island go over there, come back and leave. Very few of them stay. What would bring them down here that they would need to do a 2 or 3 night stay? And the second thing that comes to mind is the project called Cumberland Inlet. I'm sure you're aware of Mr. Jacoby's plans for that property up there. They've already signed an agreement with Hilton for a boutique 80-room hotel there. Now, are we oversaturating the market? Will the company that buys this or leases this make their ROI in order to go forward with this project? I mean, is there going to be enough traffic? I love the fact you have a meeting room. Jim and I have talked about the need for a meeting room here in the community for 3 years. And, that thing has to be discussed. And those are my concerns. Positives are, like everybody else in it, this is the best I've seen yet. And it does meet some things, and I think architecturally, you've done a good job on trying to blend it into the community. And, but I do think those other items really need to be discussed first before we go much further.
If I may interject with some of that, and I see your point. I would also challenge you